did warn, though, that it's not going to be a quick fix.
Oh, well, we are acting. That's why we've engaged with the community. That's why we're having our teams look at what the opportunities are. We know that the contamination is not contained, and we know that ultimately we're going to have to act to actually address some of that contamination. How we do that depends on the level of contamination and the priority that we place in terms of those areas. All that needs to be worked through, but it's going to obviously be a very big work plan. We understand that there's important work to be done to secure that whole area, not just the town site, not just the mine site, but the surrounding area where the fibres may have either flowed on through riverbeds or been blown around by the winds.
So Premier Roger Cook there. So that's been brought about by a proposal that's been put to the state government by the Banjima people. And another organisation that's also long been advocating for something to be done in this area is the Asbestos Diseases Society of Australia. Melita Markey is the CEO of that organisation. Good morning to you, Melita.
Good morning.
Melita, first off, what do you make of this from the Premier? You know, is there anything new in he says his asbestos tailings they continue to be harmful and that the state government's acting, but it's going to take a long time?
Look, no, there's nothing new, and it's one of those wicked problems that as a society we need to get together and deal with it, because we first did a serious report with Larry Graham and my father, Robert Vajakovic, in 1990. Now another report was commissioned in 2015, and after the Labor government came to power, Ben White, as Treasurer, really picked up this issue and put a lot of work into this. And then unfortunately Ben White left government, and really I think the issue here is it's sort of languished without his leadership. And I can understand the Banjima people's frustration, but it's not just the Banjima people that are impacted, it's also the Indrabadi, the Inawonga people. It's a significant issue across Aboriginal cultural groups and people living in the Pilbara.
So, as you mentioned there, you know, this debate over what to do about Wittenoom has been going on for a long time, 1990, as you mentioned there, with the former member for the Pilbara, Larry Graham. So, all this time, what have you been actually advocating for the state government to do? What have you been wanting to happen in this space?
Well, there's been a lot of discussion about how, and there's been some interesting ideas on how to do this. One of the things is, because of the fineness of the fibres, you know, how do you get it all up? But there are significant areas of tailings dumps. And one of the ideas is about mitigating that and encapsulating the tailing dump so it can't then be spreading into other areas. So that's what the first thing is. You can't look at anything else. You've got to look at stopping that migration. And that gets into the water systems, into Joffrey Creek. It then goes through the water in the floodplains. When that evaporates the water, it leaves fibre all over these areas. So it's a significant issue. So the first thing is to look at how do we remediate the tailing stockpile. And as I said, there's a number of suggestions on how to do that from reputable engineers. But then again, you've got to find a way of getting people in to do that work safely, and I think that's where the challenges come in, as technology moves on, breathing equipment and so forth, because you're going to have people there with big earth-moving machines. There's even talking of blasting some of the rock pile. Can you imagine when you blast all that asbestos going into the air? Yeah. So there's significant issues. So my view has always been that, you know, with what we've got, maybe we need to put it out to the world to look for the top scientists, the top people, and how we can do this safely and remediate the issue of the tailing migration.
On ABC Radio this morning, you're listening to Markey from the Asbestos Diseases Society of Australia, just reacting to the state government saying that they are acting on Wittenoom. They do want to see something happen there. Melita, I suppose the question right now, are you satisfied with the amount that the government is putting into this? Do you want to see more funding, more investigation into Wittenoom and possible ways to remediate the site?
Well, one of the things I think that is actually just as important, if putting money into medical research, because the issue is it's an incurable disease, mesothelioma, which comes from exposure to Wittenoom blue asbestos plus asbestos lung cancer, asbestosis. So there, you've got to look at the health issues, and we've not had any significant investment simply because the insurance companies say, well, we're mitigating, so no one's going there, so the risk of someone contracting a disease is lessening, therefore it's a poor investment. I think we need to change the paradigm that investment into treating and curing these diseases is a poor investment. You know, we've got the Spotlight program, part of the Future Health and Innovation Research Fund, and that picks a spotlight on a particular health issue every year. I would be hoping that 2026 would be the year, after us asking for so many years, that we invest in dust diseases research, and we look at mitigating risk not only through mitigating through exposure, which is what we're talking about at Wittenoom, but we're also mitigating through treatment. And so I think they should be hand in hand. So look, it's a bit of a shame because the Asbestos Disease Society, after so much work, was kicked off the Wittenoom Steering Committee, and that's always been a source of tension between myself and the Minister. And they've offered to update us on things, but I think we've got a significant amount to contribute in this area. So I'd really like to be brought back to the table. I'd also like to see other Aboriginal cultural groups included in the discussion, and I'd also like to have assistance with health monitoring. The Asbestos Disease Society is the only organisation that bothered to monitor the health of Aboriginal cultural groups in the Pilbara. We've been doing it since 1990 and had no funding other than from Aboriginal groups themselves. So it would be really useful. And the issue we've got really that we're looking at now is the Wittenoom children. They are now starting to become ill. And they're in that time frame, and we're seeing a lot of people coming through that with children in the area with lung cancer, incurable lung cancer, mesothelioma, and that's got to stop as well. So there's a whole discussion to be had there. I think the government has the will. You know, Roger Cook is a very good man. He's a kind man, and I think he will listen. I think our greatest loss for this area of work was the loss of Ben White. I would love to see him back involved. He's a lovely man as well. And they would come to our office. I've seen plans for the remediation. I've got copies. So, look, there's good stuff here. It's about the will and how, and I think these are the discussions that obviously are taking place. We're not privy to them, but, you know, I do believe that something can come if there's put that focus on just how we can do it safely, but also there has to be the broader issue of how we look to invest in supporting people with these diseases and helping treat them.
It'll be interesting, Melita, to see what announcements come from the state government on this as they look to act in the space. Melita, lovely to chat to you today. Thanks for your time on the program.
And thank you for keeping on top of this issue. It's incredibly important.
Melita Markey there, the CEO of the Asbestos Diseases Society of Australia. It is 21 minutes past 10.